Hey, this is Bree. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of how to use Showit. So whether you've purchased a template from my shop, another designer shop, or if you're just using one of the free templates that is within Showit, this will show you how to customize your template in order to get the most out of your website. Now, I won't be covering how to set up your blog in this video because there are a lot of things that go into that, and I will cover that in a separate video. There's also a ton of other resources out there on how to set up your blog within Showit. Whether you are just starting your process of designing your website, or maybe you just need a refresher later down the road, this will be a great resource for you to come back to. All right, so let's just hop right in. So once you've already created your account with Showit and you are signed in and you have your website pulled up, this is what you're going to see. Now, over on the left-hand side, you will have your site panel. This is where you're going to access things like your site settings, your design settings, your media library, all of your pages that are included with that website, all of the blog pages and your site canvases and any canvas sets, if that's applicable. And when you click on your site settings, this is where you're going to edit things like your favicon, your site name. You can choose your site language. You can update your custom domain and your vanity slug right there. There's also some other settings in here. So if you need to set up your blog domain as well as your social links and other integrations, you'll be able to do that within those site settings right there. Your design settings is where you're going to upload and customize all of your fonts and colors. So the color palette does go from darkest to lightest. So you'll see right here that that is corresponded with that order. So you'll have your darkest colors on the left-hand side and your brightest colors on the right-hand side. To change any of these, you can just click on them and you can either paste in your hex code or you can just drag and drop these and you'll see that those will make updates accordingly. You'll also have your type styles down here, so you can change the color of your fonts. You can change the font that you have within here. And then you can also change things for your mobile and your desktop as far as the font size goes, your line height, your letter spacing, and then any of your margin settings, how your text is aligned. So all of those settings will be accessible in here, and that goes the same for your headings, your subheadings, and your paragraphs as well. Now in your fonts panel up here, this is where you're going to be able to upload all of your fonts. So you can either choose a font from Google Fonts. They have a ton of different fonts to choose from, or if you have a custom font, you can go ahead and upload that. Just make sure that you are uploading it. It does require to be in a WAF font file. So if you download a font, just make sure that you are converting that. There are a bunch of websites out there that can convert your fonts for you, and then you can just go ahead and upload that. And then you also have your button settings. Now Showit did recently just update to include buttons. In the past, you had to use a shape block and a text block to create a button, but now you have the option to have your buttons in here. So you can just change the color of your buttons, the text color, all of that fun stuff, as well as the padding, any borders. So you can go ahead and just customize that and set that within the design panel. You can also customize these separately, which I will show you a little bit later, but it is nice to just have that setting set up if you already have your brand colors and everything ready to go. And then your media library is just where all of your images, any of your assets are going to be. So you can go ahead and upload any of your assets directly into here. You can also categorize them by folders if you would like. So it's just nice to get everything uploaded if you would like to, but you can also upload everything individually as well, which again, I will show you a little bit later once we dive into editing the website. And then down here is where your pages are going to be. If you click through, this will bring you to that corresponding page. And then you'll see over here, you have the 3 dots right here. This is just going to give you a few options. You can rename, you can duplicate, or you can copy that page to your blog template, or you can delete your page. Keep in mind that right now Showit does not have a trash folder. So if you delete any of your pages or canvases, then they are permanently deleted. So if you would like to keep any of the pages or canvases, I would recommend making a duplicate just to have that. And then that way you can go back and access that at a later time instead of just deleting something and then needing to access it later. And then up here, if you click on that plus icon, you can add from your library, you can add a blank page, or you can add a page folder. So if you add from your library, this is going to either give you the option to add from your current site. So say for example, if you would like the layout of a certain page, like maybe the about page, you have the option to go ahead and add that and duplicate that into your website. You can also add from other websites. So if you do have other websites within your Showit account, you could pick and choose what you want to add. So say for example, I already have a canvas bundle and I want to add in from here, you'll be able to add that. You can also add in from Showit's library. So if you want to pick and choose any of their pages that they have from any of their other websites, you'll be able to do that as well. So that is something that I really love about Showit, is you do have the option to add in different canvases and pages from other websites. Or if you purchased a Showit canvas bundle, then you can go ahead and just add that into the website. So down here, you'll see the option to apply your fonts and colors. So if you already have your brand colors and brand fonts applied into your account, like I showed previously, you can go ahead and click that, and that will go ahead and apply that into that canvas. So that'll save you some time with editing, which is nice. All right, so if you go over into the page settings, this is where you're going to be able to edit everything within the page. So if you click on any of the canvases, that will bring you down to the corresponding canvas, and this is where you're going to be able to make edits directly in there. You can also click on it just on the website itself. Now again, you'll have some options when you click on those three dots. You can rename your canvas, you can add a canvas view, which I will get into a little bit later. You can duplicate your sections, copy, cut, and then you do have the option to toggle on the visibility or off the visibility, whether that's on desktop or mobile. So that's nice because sometimes there are sections that you only want to show on desktop or on mobile, so you can have the option to change that. And then you can also change this to a site canvas, which again, I will cover a little bit later. These are just nice to have because site canvases allow you to only make updates to one section. And if it's converted to a site canvas, then that will make updates across everything. So it synchronizes all of your canvases that are set to that site canvas. So if you have a section like a testimonials section, or if you have a freebie opt-in that you want to have the same exact layout, but you need to make updates across the website, it is nice to have those site canvases. So again, I will cover that a little bit later in there. Now, if you want to rearrange different sections within your website, all you have to do is just drag and drop, and then you can rearrange your different canvases. So that is nice. And then if you want to add in anything, again, you just click on those three dots. You can add it from your library. You can do a blank canvas. And then you also have any of your sections from your current pages. So if you do add a blank canvas or really any other canvas, it will automatically add that to the bottom of the page. So just keep that in mind. And again, you can just go ahead and drag that up, and that will move that up to wherever you move that to. Now to delete, you can just go ahead and click on those three dots and then delete that section. Again, just keep in mind that they do not have a trash section. So if you delete something, it will be a permanent deletion. All right, let's head over to the right-hand side of the panel. So this is where you're going to edit all of your canvas settings. So if you want to change the name of your canvas, if you want to change the slug of your canvas, the stacking order, you can also choose different settings based on mobile and desktop for your canvas types, the height, and if it's sticky or not. So the canvas height, you do have the option to do window height, which is basically it will stretch the width of the window that you are viewing it on, or you can have it grow with content. So this is nice because if you have a section that has a gallery, then it will stretch that width of how big that content needs to be in order for them to view it. So if I go over to the gallery pages, I'll show you what that looks like. So you'll see right here that this canvas is set to grow with content. Now, right now it looks small, it looks cropped off, but if we go to preview this is going to grow with how many different images are on that canvas. So as you scroll through, you'll see now that you can see all of those images that are included in that gallery. So that is a nice option to have if you do have a gallery that has a lot of images and you don't want to have your canvas be, 7,000 pixels or really, really long. And this is just nice to have that. So that is how you would adjust those settings. And then you do have the option to have different canvases be stuck to the top, the bottom, top on scroll, or bottom on scroll. Now in this specific website template, I do utilize that feature just to give a nice scrolling animation. So you'll see right here that when we go to preview this, there are some sections that will get stuck to the top like this one, and then the bottom will overlay. So it just creates a nice scrolling effect. And again, you can use that feature for a lot of different reasons. Now, if you are going to use the sticky scroll effect, you'll want to make sure that you are also adjusting your stacking order. So you'll see in this page, for example, that the different canvases are set to different stacking orders. This just allows your canvas to be higher or lower than the previous canvas or the one above it. So you'll see that this top canvas is set to stacking order of 1, and this one is set to a stacking order of 4. This one is set to a stacking order of 6. And you'll see that my navigation is going to be set to a higher stacking order. That's going to be set to 7 because I don't want any of the canvases like going behind it and then going above it and then going behind it. I want that to always stay at the very top so it's easy for people to navigate on the website. So there is an option option to do hidden to start. So this is nice because if you have some click actions to either show a gallery or show your menu or something like that, then you do have the option to hide your canvas until that needs to be shown. All right, and then you have your canvas background. This is where you're going to edit your canvas background. You can upload an image, you can do a video, or if you don't want a image or video, you can do none, and then you can just choose a color. So if you click on that color swatch, you can either choose any of the colors that are within your palette, or you can drag and drop or paste in your hex code. And then as we go down, if you do have an image set to your background, you can change the position of it if you want it to be contained or don't scale. You can also change the opacity as well as that background color again. And then if you go down here, you have your animations. So if you want to set any animations for your canvas, that is where you would go ahead and make that adjustment. Now this canvas is set to have an auto advanced view because I want it to scroll through the different testimonials. So if you click on preview and then we go down to the bottom where that is, you'll see that that will automatically change to go to the next testimonial. So that's nice because if you have a section that you want to automatically transition or just have a nice subtle animation, you can go ahead and do that. Now that works by doing a canvas view, which I guess I will go into while we're on the topic. Now there are a bunch of different ways that you can use canvas views. My favorite way to use these is for testimonials, but I'll also put a couple other ways up on the screen that I like to use them. I like to use them to either do like a little blurb about the business or the owner. They can click through and learn a little bit more. But there are a lot of different ways that you can use canvas views, but basically they're going to be all of these little subsections within that canvas. So you'll see that these will all be different testimonials. Now you do have the option to rename them or duplicate them. Something to keep in mind though is that all of your canvas views will be the exact same height as whatever this top one is. So if you do go and add in more and you need to resize things, just keep that in mind. It will be set to whatever that top canvas view is. And the same as any of the other canvases, you can drag and drop these to reorder them. And you will have the option to have that transition set for mobile and desktop. So if you don't want this to automatically scroll on mobile, you can just go ahead and toggle that off, and that will go ahead and turn that off. And then you can change things like how fast that transitions, what type of animation that is. So if you don't want it to fade, maybe you want to have a slide, you can go ahead and do that. And then you can also change things like if it's delayed, how long that takes to do that transition. And then down here, you'll have your scroll action. So you can go ahead and add in an action if you would like. So you can go ahead and do on screen, off screen, percent from top. And then you can have it either show a canvas, hide a canvas, or change the canvas view. And then you can choose that canvas that you want to either have hidden or shown. And then you can either trigger this once or multiple times. And you can add multiple different actions. So if there is a certain animation that you want to do, you can go ahead and really customize that within that setting. All right, and before we get into actually editing all of the different elements within the website, let's go down to the bottom panel down here. So you'll see that you have a few options. You can have your mobile and desktop show within the editing platform. You can only show mobile, you can only show desktop. You can also zoom in and out of that view, and that goes the same for mobile and desktop. So if you want to zoom in on just mobile, you can do that, or if you want to just zoom in on your desktop, you can also do that as well. Down here is where all of your tools are going to be. So if you want to add in a text box, different elements, you have a ton of different elements. You can do rectangles, ovals, images, buttons, you can embed code, you can have videos, galleries, social grids, and then you have the option to open up your media library directly in this panel as well. And then down here, you have the option to either reverse something that you just did or redo something that you just did. And then you'll just have your little help panel down here. So if you do need some resources, that will open up all of their popular blogs and resources that you can access, or if you need to reach out directly to them, you can just go ahead and ask them a question right there. All right, so let's just hop right in and start actually editing everything within the template itself. Now, every template is going to be relatively the same process of how to edit things, so keep that in mind while you are watching this video, that anything I'm doing in this template can be also applied to any other Showit template as well. So you'll see that when you're hovering over, everything has its own individual box, and this is nice because you can drag and drop anything within the canvas. There are no grids or anything that are going to lock you into a certain location within that grid. So that is another really great thing about Showit, is you do have total freedom to really customize the template. Now, if you click on your text, this will bring up your text panel. So this is where you're going to edit anything that is relevant to the text. So if you need to change the text style, the color, what type of font it is, the font size, the line height, letter spacing, you can have it either uppercase, normal, lowercase type title case. You can align your text. You can also choose different columns of text. Down here is going to be your inline link setting. So if you are going to be linking something, this will change the color and you can choose that formatting and all of that stuff under there. And then you'll have your size and position. So you can manually adjust your positioning of your text. If you want to type in a value or just adjust that with the arrows, you can do that. And then you do have some options to center to canvas. So you can either center that horizontally or vertically. And then you have your horizontal locking. So I'll go ahead and scroll down to the next canvas so we can get a better idea of how this works. So say for example that this text right here, we're going to set this to be locked all the way to the left. Now, if we go to preview this and then we scroll down, you'll see that that text now is going to be all the way over to the left. Whereas if we go ahead and take that off, then you'll see right here that now that text is just aligned with everything else that is on that page. This setting is really nice because there are going to be different people that are viewing your website on multiple different types of browsers and screen sizes. So this gives you the option to really stretch out your content and use up as much of that screen as possible. Again, you don't need to do that, but it is something nice to use, especially for things that need to be stretched the entire width. So if you have a line or a shape that needs to be stretched the entire width of the canvas, you can go ahead and toggle that on and off. I also use this setting for different images and things like that. I won't go too in depth on those settings, but you do have the option to stretch images wider or to lock them to the left or right. If you have a section that is set to the grow with content or window height, if you click on your image or gallery, you do also have the option to do vertical locking. So you can have things stretch the entire vertical length of your page or just to the top or to the bottom. And then you have your click actions. So if you want to have a certain element or a text box click through to something, you can have that click to a page, to a canvas, top of page, any social links, URLs, things like that. So you will be able to go ahead and edit that as well. And then you can also add in different actions. So again, if you have a canvas that's hidden to start, so if you have a mobile menu like this up here, this is going to have a click action where it has a show site canvas, which is going to be the mobile nav. So when they click on that, the mobile nav is going to show, but it wouldn't show unless they click on that. So again, there are a ton of resources. I'll go ahead and link some down below of how you can use the hidden to start feature for the canvases. Then you have your hover settings. So this is just nice to, again, just allow your user to know where they can click and also just add in some other fun animations to your website. So you can add in different hover effects. You can either have them be your canvas default or page default, or you can do a custom effect. So you can change things like the opacity, how long that takes. If you want to change that to a different color, you can do that. You can also change it to a different font, a different size, or change the letter spacing or have it underlined. And then if you click down, you'll have all of your effects. So if you want to change the opacity of your text, you can go ahead and do that. You can add a drop shadow to any of the elements if you want to have that for the text or an image or a shape block. You can go ahead and edit that. And then this isn't really necessarily relevant to text, but for different shape blocks, you can go ahead and edit any of the corner radiuses. So if you want to have it just as a rectangle or a rounded square or a circle or anything like that, you can go ahead and edit that within those settings. And you do have the option to have that set to either merge with desktop. So if you have shapes that you want to have the same exact effect applied to, you can merge that with the desktop, or you can keep it separate for mobile and desktop as well and edit those separately. And then lastly, you do have the option for more advanced settings for CSS and all of that. So if you want to add in your class selectors, if you are going to be doing some custom code, you can go ahead and edit that, but I won't be covering any custom code in this video just to keep this very beginner friendly. So those are going to be all of your text settings. Now, if you want to edit any of your images, again, you would just click on your image and you'll have a few different options. You can just click on the image up here that will open up your media gallery, and you can just swap out your image like so. You can also edit things like if you want it to be filled or contained, then that will go ahead and adjust those settings as well as the position. So if you need to rearrange the photo within that box, you can go ahead and do that. And then you'll have your size and positions. You can either adjust your settings by typing in your values. If you need to rotate an image, you can go ahead and edit that there, or you can just go ahead and manually adjust these by dragging and resizing your boxes like so. And same settings are going to apply for the text and the images with the horizontal locking, and the click actions, the animations, and all of the other effects will also be the same for all of the images. Now, if we go into the pages, you're going to have all of your different canvases, and within those canvases, you're going to have all of your different elements that are within that canvas. So these are going to be like any shape blocks, your text, buttons, anything like that. And you will see that you have the option to toggle things on and off. So you'll see right here on mobile, if I turn that off, you won't see that button on the mobile, but you'll still see that on the desktop. So this is really nice because Showit does give you, again, that total freedom to customize anything on your website. Sometimes there's certain elements or things that look good on desktop that you do not want to have on mobile. And if things look a little bit too crowded, or you just want to have different elements that are within certain sections on your mobile versus desktop, you are more than welcome to do that. And that will go for any of the sections. So if you'll just click on any of those canvases, you'll see all of those different boxes and elements within that section. Now we'll go over site canvases real quick. So site canvases, like I mentioned earlier in the video, these are great for when you have different sections that you are going to have across multiple pages on your website. So obviously your header and your footer, those are going to be the main site canvases that you have. But if you have something like a testimonial section that you want to have on multiple pages, or if you have a opt-in, like a freebie opt-in or something, and you want to make updates to that section without having to go to every single page, that is where you would go ahead and edit your site canvases. So if you want to edit your site canvas, you'll just go ahead and click on that. And then when you make any updates to anything within that site canvas, that's going to apply that to any other section that has that specific site canvas. So that is something nice. It does sync that across all of the pages, so you don't have to go in and manually update every single section separately than that. And lastly, I'm just going to go over any of the button and gallery settings before we end this video. So if you click on your buttons, the same panel is going to show up on the right-hand side. This is going to allow you to edit any of your button settings. So you will have a primary and a secondary button. And then if you click on edit defaults, this will bring you to that main page that we showed earlier in the video. But you can also change things like the background color, if you want a border on that, the text color, and then you do have those same options to edit separately for the mobile and the desktop. You can change the size and position, and then your click action. So if you have a button that needs to be linked to another page, another canvas, or maybe a separate URL, that is where you would go ahead and edit that. So this one is linked directly to another page, and then I just have that page selected from that drop down. You can paste in your canvas slug. So if you have a pricing section or something that you want to just scroll directly to, you can go ahead and paste that into there. And then you can also choose your canvas view. So if you have a services section that is different canvas views that allows them to click through and view different types of services that you offer, you can have them go to different canvas views on that canvas. You also have the option to either open that in a new window, do not follow, or submit a contact form. So that is only applicable for if you have a form that you are going to have them fill out on the contact or whatever that may be. Your galleries, you'll just go ahead and double click on that. You'll see that your gallery will pop up right here. So you can rearrange how those images load within that gallery. So you'll see right there that that moved a couple things around. And then over here, you'll see that you'll also have the option to manage your images directly in here. And then your gallery settings. So you can change what type of gallery you have, image area. So if you have different galleries, you can choose from there. And then you can choose if this is a carousel, a single image fill, or a single image fit. And then you can change the spacing between your images. So if you want that bigger, smaller, or no spacing. You also have the option to do an auto advance as well. So if you want your galleries to scroll through as people are on that canvas, then you can go ahead and edit that. And then you do have the option to preview your website whenever you would like to. So if you're making adjustments and you want to see how that looks on your browser, just go ahead and preview that, and you'll be able to see all of the adjustment and your website layout directly there. And then once you're ready to actually publish your website, you can hit publish. This is going to publish this to your domain that you have set up. And then you can just hit publish. That will make all of your adjustments live to the website. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you have any questions or need help with anything else, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. If there's anything I didn't cover in this video, please let me know. I'm always happy to share other resources, or I can also make additional videos in the future. Definitely go check out some of the other videos that I have about Showit. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.